Nonetheless, Gino talked about Caitlin Clark again and sort of gave some backhanded compliments. Like he talked about how she connects to the audience, which was good. He talked about how she's tough, like Paige Beckers. He threw Paige in there as well.
Following Caitlin Clark's rejection of him, the UConn coaching behemoth Geno Auriemma goes completely insane, and the result is that he loses millions of dollars. When Caitlin Clark was removed from the WNBA, he stated that she did not possess the necessary abilities to compete in the league. In light of the fact that she is currently in the process of transforming Iowa into a basketball empire, Geno is left wondering how he did not just miss out on a player, but he also missed out on the opportunity to be a part of history. Moreover, that is a wound that cannot be healed by any trophy. She has a lot of nonsense to say while she is on the court. All good except my word for it. Do you know why when people talk about the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, they are bashing up Caitlin Clark? Why? Because she has a habit of talking a lot of nonsense on the court. In lieu of taking responsibility during a podcast, Geno doubled down on providing Clark with a few half-hearted praises while simultaneously undercutting her with cheap insults. In this kind of ego-driven move, we are reminded that even legendary figures can fall short of their goals. Aside from the fact that he is going out of his way to, first he is stating that she connects with people, my assumption is that he could have stopped there and left it at that. In spite of this, he virtually goes on to reverse part of that conversation and try to throw it in the laps of other people as a result of Caitlin Clark's vicious remarks. As everything is going on, Clark is rewriting history while living rent-free in Geno's head. The entire thing was done without UConn or Geno's approval. Where is the actual kicker? A player was not the only one that Geno lost. He suffered a loss of millions of dollars in earnings, reputation, and respect. Be a poor soul. This young lady is completely courageous. It's simply her playing. To put it simply, she is like a young child playing with her buddies in a driveway, if you will. It's true that she is one of a kind in that regard. On the other hand, when it comes to what she is doing, you should remember that people have short memory. I am aware of it. I have seen it before. On the other hand, Auriemma did not stop there. In the process, he exploring the qualities that set Clark apart from other basketball players in the modern world, including her boldness. So he went on to explain that in this day and age, a lot of athletes are hesitant. They are concerned about the outcomes that could occur as a result of a lost opportunity or a poor choice. Many sportsmen have become cautious as a result of the scrutiny they receive on social media, the blame games they play, and the unrelenting criticism they receive. They are scared to take risks that could potentially cost their team or destroy their name. While acknowledging her one-of-a-kind mentality and unquestionable talent, Auriemma also brought the conversation back to earth. People have short memories, he added with a tone that acknowledged his knowledge. Clark was not going to be awarded the title of being the most exceptional player in the history of the game. As a matter of fact, he has been a witness to brilliance in the past, frequently from the greatest seat in the house, which is the sidelines of his own team as well. This marks the beginning of the conversation that will take place, the competition for women. Over the course of the past 18 months, or perhaps even over the course of 2 years, I believe that there are occasions when people become perplexed, thinking that it was a rocket, that you all got on Caitlin Clark's back and ran straight up. On the other hand, you have been there during the very beginning of the ride, so to speak. Despite his best efforts, Geno was successful. Paige Buchers is also being brought up in this discussion. In terms of their level of toughness, Geno believes that Clark and Buchers are comparable, a translation of translation. When we are discussing the person who did not choose me, let us not forget about my star player. Underestimating Clark's importance was Geno's most significant error, which was as subtle as a neon sign. Clark, on the other hand, is a very different animal. Auriemma underlined that she is fearless, comparing her game to that of a child who plays basketball in the driveway for the sole purpose of enjoying the game. Not only does she not overthink, but she also does not allow dread of failure to enter her mind. It's simply her playing. According to Auriemma, this is a trait that is becoming increasingly uncommon in contemporary basketball. Then we give them up to the WNBA, and then they have something excellent to work with, and it just keeps growing and expanding and increasing ever since it was first introduced. Those of us who are in charge of the game are still the ones who are responsible for it. Would you say that we are getting better at the game every day? Every day are we able to improve the performance of our players? As a final insult, Geno minimized Clark's contribution in the development of the sport. Although he acknowledged her impact, he presented it as a component of a bigger, more unavoidable progression. Because it would be a terrible thing for him to accept that Clark's rise is the reason why women's basketball is experiencing such a boom at the moment. Geno Auriemma presented a response that was a combination of admiration and realism when he was questioned about the mind-blowing performances that Caitlin Clark had given. The truth is that she is accomplishing remarkable things, he conceded. On the other hand, let us not forget that I have witnessed remarkable things in the past. For the sake of illustrating his point, Auriemma referred to a specific instance from his own teaching repertoire. As he recalled, he was the captain of a team that included 2 players who were just starting out and 2 guys who had never started a game before. It wasn't simply a single-player show. That team not only competed, but they also won a national championship. However, the contributions that those players made and the poise that they displayed were, in their own unique manner, groundbreaking. Caitlin Clark may have decided against joining the other competing 303 basketball league because of Geno Auriemma. This is a possibility. We are able to fit everything on a pack right here. Geno Auriemma, a great coach, a businessman on the side, and a full-time adept at sticking his foot in his mouth, is a remarkable individual. Geno may have just himself to blame for the fact that Caitlin Clark has shown a complete and utter disinterest in participating in his brand new 3-on-3 basketball league. Initially, it is important to keep in mind that this league was intended to be a pioneering endeavor. There are significant investors, significant goals, and an even more significant debut in January. It was a topic of conversation among everyone, primarily due to the fact that fans were hoping to see Caitlin Clark, the college sensation, grace its courts. However, Clark is not interested in whatever it is. Geno and the league are left scrambling for star power as a result of her outright refusal to ride this train. Man, just take it easy. However, this is not the case at all. There is a lot of interest in Caitlin Clark joining this league so that she might possibly play basketball and have additional opportunities to entertain herself. However, a significant number of Caitlin Clark's followers have now taken to Twitter in order to laugh at Geno Auriemma. All right, let's bring some of what could possibly be the reason for Clark to decline such a remarkable opportunity. On the Dan Patrick Show, let's go back in time to Geno's most memorable public relations moment. When Clark's supporters were daring to claim that she could rule the WNBA, Auriemma, in all his wisdom, referred to them as delusional. He redoubled his efforts, asserting that she did not possess the physicality necessary to succeed in the league. To make matters worse, he went on to make some snide remarks about how foolish these fans were for touting her as the next Diana Taurasi. That is a brilliant strategy, Geno. Slander the most popular player in women's basketball and the fans who are devoted to her fans. She does not have to put in any effort to get that crappy job. It would be the best thing for her to own a competing league. That is the kind of bag that Caitlin receives. As you can see, she is probably not as vengeful as she seems. I will demand that Geno provide a complete apology and retract his comments that he made on the Dan Patrick Show if it were me who was the one who was asked to leave the room. As a battleground for sarcasm and mocking, Twitter is a battlefield. Caitlin's fans question why she would play for someone who does not believe she is capable of dealing with contact. Another individual jumped in and said that she should simply purchase the league and rebrand it as unparalleled genius. What a pain. That Geno is not merely a remote consultant in this league is not a factor that helps. It is now widely acknowledged that his participation is a major cause for concern because he is a part owner. Clark's choice to stay away from this league is not solely motivated by the desire to protect her knees. To Geno's commentary, this is a direct middle finger extended to him. The criticism that she would face if she aligned herself with someone who minimized her abilities on a national platform is something that she does not require, and she certainly does not need to cope with. While all is going on, the league is getting ready to host a highly anticipated event in January, but without Clark, it is looking more and more like a complete and utter failure. The words that Geno said are now coming back to haunt him in the shape of empty seats and fading buzz. Geno probably believed that he was unbeatable earlier. The speed with which he was able to destroy his own reputation with just a few statements that were spoken at the wrong time is remarkable for someone who is so proud of his profession that has spanned decades. So, do you recall the day when Geno entered the stage on the Dan Patrick Show and completely destroyed Clark's fan base? Did you remember that? He referred to them as moronic and foolish for having the audacity to imply that she could be the dominant player in the WNBA. Oh, and he did not end his remarks there. In an effort to add some expert commentary, Geno made the decision to assert that Clark did not possess the physique necessary for the league and would have difficulty meeting the physical requirements of the league. Geno, you are correct, since it is a clever business move to disparage the most marketable talent in women's basketball. Geno's own comments are being retaliated against him, which is making the situation even more difficult. Despite the fact that he stated that Paige Bucher's another rising star will face comparable obstacles in the WNBA, he pointed out that her basketball skills would transition better. Caitlin should be replaced with Sue Bird. But let's not kid ourselves. Neither physically nor skill sets are relevant to this discussion. There is a story about Geno who accidentally shoots himself in the foot twice and then wonders why no one wants to play baseball with him. The Super League, on the other hand, is scheduled to begin operations in January, and without Clark, it appears to be more of an unimpressive offering. While it is true that they have some notable players such as Angel Reese, let us not fool ourselves into thinking that she is capable of carrying the league independently. Fans were looking for Caitlin. Investors were interested in Caitlin. The future of the league appears to be as secure as a house of cards in the midst of a storm now that she is no longer there. You are also a fantastic college player, just like Caitlin previously was. Fans who are completely delusional by claiming that she is going to go into that league and tear it up, she showed contempt to the players in the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA. There were actually odds on what are such as she currently holds the third or fourth spot in the betting odds for becoming the most valuable player during a WNBA game. It seems that Geno Auriemma is not having a good time as of late. This is Caitlin Clark. His vision, or his entire league, depending on who you ask, would appear to have been rejected by the golden child of college basketball. Is Geno's annoyance present? The topic is not limited to basketball alone. If Clark had lived up to the enormous hoopla that surrounded her, he would have made millions of dollars. This is the topic at hand. The supporters of the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, hailed Clark as the league's savior before she had even dribbled on a professional court. The odds of betting, she was considered a possible most valuable player. This was a perfect chance for Geno, who saw it as a new face for the league, an infinite supply of endorsements, and let's face it, a significant boost to his personal brand. On the other hand, reality had different intentions. In your opinion, how is Clark dealing with this situation? It seems to me that she is doing really well. She seems to spew a lot of nonsense, and she seems to get a lot of nonsense back from people. As a result, she is totally deserving of everything that she receives since she gives it her all. At this moment, Geno is raving about followers who are obsessed with himself. Clark is being hyped to levels that are impossible. He argues that the players in the WNBA are intentionally pursuing her, and not only on an emotional level, since they felt disrespected when they heard her demolish them on the first day of the season. Also, let's not overlook the fact that this league was not designed for this particular league. As a pleasant way of saying that she is making me seem awful, Geno claims that Clark is not quick enough or tough enough to withstand the physicality that is present in the WNBA. While this is going on, Geno is witnessing the millions of dollars that were associated with Clark's debut season disappear quicker than her defenders can even double-team her. The branding, the collaborations, and the establishment of a legacy are all failing to materialize over time. Geno finds himself in the position of having to explain why the buzz surrounding her is not his fault, rather than celebrating her as the next Diana Taurasi. Then there is the one belonging to Paige Bucher. When she made the announcement that she would be continuing her education, Geno was unable to conceal his feelings of both pride and panic. Even though he will be able to keep her at the University of Connecticut for another year, he is well aware that she will be confronted with the same harsh truth when she ultimately participates in the league. To put the icing on the cake, that is yet another potential hit to his bank account, the cherry on top. Geno couldn't help but roll his eyes in response to the fact that Clark was referred to as the White Larry Bird by a brilliant individual. Despite the fact that he criticized the way in which society is obsessed with making superficial comparisons, he did not appear to be very offended when those similarities helped his narrative.